Welcome back to the Elias Macko Show, third hour of the program. Montreal City Councillor Craig Sauvé has officially entered the mayoral race with a new party, Transition Montréal, Transition Montreal, positioning himself as a progressive alternative to the established political options. They've got plans. Transition Montreal has plans to run candidates in all 19 boroughs. The party's going to focus on economic justice, homelessness, and public services. Now, this will be Craig Sauvé's third campaign in just 2 years after 2 federal bids with the NDP. It's our pleasure to welcome Craig Sauvé into our studios once again. Hi, Craig. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
So back in the studio here, but a very different reason why. It's pretty late in the game, July 17th, going to the polls in November. Why was this the right time?
Well, I've been talking to a lot of people. Well, obviously, I've done 2 federal campaigns. You mentioned I was talking to people all the time. I love talking to people. But I've been talking to a lot of people, particularly about the municipal scene and how they're feeling about it. And a lot of people are feeling really unexcited by the current offering on the municipal scene. So would you say we're going towards a bit of a boring campaign with not a lot of ideas, and they see the 2 older parties sort of constantly quarreling with each other, which is not super productive and not super inspiring for Montrealers. So we're trying to come in here and depolarize things and shoot a boost of inspiration into this campaign, and we have time. I've done campaigns left, right, and center, and I think we can offer a really great a group of candidates to Montrealers in all different boroughs.
Were you drafted by those people, or did you openly seek this out?
No, actually, they contacted me first. Transition Montréal, Transition Montreal was a group of people who felt a little left out from the political scene, and they felt really, and like I was just saying, that there needs to be other options out there. And if we look south of the border, just a 2-party system, that's not interesting. You lose nuance. It becomes just reaction and just throwing mud. Where I actually love the Canadian system. I love the fact that there are many parties. I don't agree with all of them all the time, but at least it provides a little bit more nuance to our discussions. It enriches our democracy. So having another option in Montreal instead of the 2 older parties, I think it's going to be good news for all of us, even if we're not in agreement on everything.
So here's one thing that I found curious, right? A progressive alternative for Montreal voters is what you hope to present yourself as. Right. And, I said, well, what's Projet Montréal then? I thought Projet Montréal was the progressive alternative. Feels like we already had that party. Why is Projet Montréal not progressive enough, in your opinion?
I feel that, in fact, the 2 older parties are sort of floundering in the mushy middle, and they're going to be very cautious and a bit timid, and try to just run the whole thing on showing their experience and their management qualities, which I think are not necessarily proven in both cases. I can find examples of things that work good in all boroughs and things that don't work good in all boroughs. So we do want to break through the noise, though. That's what we're going to do. And obviously, I'm a progressive. I'm not going to go in a place that I'm not comfortable politically. And Transition Montreal, the people that founded this party, are progressives as well. And so we're going to go into areas that indeed the other 2 parties aren't talking about. We're going to push the narratives to different places. We're going to shake the cage, and we're going to provide, I think, a really stimulating debate on new ideas. So I think also I would add, we're going to propose things that appeal to all different types of Montrealers from all parts of the political spectrum. We have ideas on management of public works. We have ideas on permitting speeds. We have ideas on all sorts of things that are going to come out. So we're going to try to appeal to everybody. I want everybody to consider us as their option and know that we're going to be listening to them as well.
So I got to ask you this question because you are running for mayor, and it's important now that, especially in light of what you've just said about Projet Montréal. So you withdrew from Projet Montréal in 2021. Now, this was after confirming you were accused of sexual assault in 2012. Now, you said unfounded allegations, but you were accused of that in 2012. And you never got back into the party. Even as those things went away, it seemed like the party never welcomed you back. Was there a hope that you would end up back inside the Projet Montréal fold?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a lot of really close friends in Projet Montréal too, people that I really adore, friends for life. And this project, the hardest part about this project is that I don't want to upset any of them. I don't want to tell them that I don't appreciate them, because I do. And over the past 4 years, I've been an independent that's been able to work and do motions with every single group in City Hall. We did motions with Projet Montreal on high-speed rail, did motions with Ensemble Montreal in terms of social housing, did motions with LaSalle, the LaSalle team. Yeah. We did motions with Serge Chasseville where we talked about homelessness. I really, really appreciated that collaboration. And I still look at Projet Montreal and Ensemble Montreal as friends. Like, I don't see them as bad people. Yeah. And, for sure we discussed me going back to Projet Montreal. At the end of the day, though, I wasn't feeling it. So we discussed it. There was lots of talk about it. At the same time, here came Transition Montreal and proposed another option. They proposed, we're gonna talk about ideas, I hope, over the next few weeks, that I was really inspired by. And so honestly, I chose the path that we're taking right now. And I think that we're going to do some really wonderful things. And I said, open up the debate, bring kindness and respect into politics in Montreal, and try to put an end to the quarreling, bring more nuance into our discussion.
So let me ask you, because it certainly seems, to be that progressive alternative. I'm looking at some other things that have happened in cities of late. I look at what happened in New York City, right, in that Democratic primary, where the most progressive voice in that race, Zoran Mamdani, won that. Again, you can point out, well, American politics is getting more and more polarized, and maybe that's why he was so successful. But are you looking at some of those other cues as a reason why you think in Montreal there needs to be a more progressive option?
Obviously, I'm inspired by people like Zoran Mamdani, Tommy Douglas, Bernie Sanders, AOC. These are people that I appreciate a lot. And it's when you propose different things that are outside of the norm. You say, hey, we have some innovative new solutions, things that challenge the establishment, things that challenge the status quo, that people start listening and say, okay, perhaps. And again, we're trying to do it with all respect and kindness and look after people. So, Zoran Mamdani won with a Tax the Rich program in Manhattan, right? Yeah. So people are ready for talking about this. There is inequalities in our system. People who have accumulated, hoarded tons of wealth in our society right now, they're getting more and more of the wealth, and the rest of us, middle class, low income people, we're getting left out, and things are getting more expensive. Housing's out of control. But there are people that own that. There are people that own our debt, and they're getting richer. And what I'm saying in this campaign is we're going to talk about that. I want to tax the ultra rich, and I want to invest in helping people that need it most.
So I'm just trying to, because it's a bit of a contradiction. Because, you talked so lovingly almost about your Projet Montreal and even some other non-Projet Montreal members of city council. You want to work together and that kind of thing. But it also seems like you are proposing something where there may not be places to work on. Like, it seems like some of your positions are going to be more towards the left. So I wonder how you build the bridge to work with other parties at the same time.
Respect is the first thing. Like, I live in respect. To me, that's the most important thing. And, I think, if these ideas don't have a voice in a political sphere, they won't get out there. And I want these ideas to be debated upon. Yeah. And so let's bring it. Let's talk about these ideas. Let's bring it out to the forefront. You know what? Those parties, they weren't going to go there. Like I said, they're going to stay in the mushy middle. They've been very cautious, ultra cautious. And I'm saying, no. We've got big problems. We need big solutions.
So in your mind, things like rent control, government grocery stores, if we're looking at the example of New York, is that like the thing? Hey, you're going to start proposing bold ideas to that level? Well, you said no mushy middle. That's not
to that level, yeah. But I'm not going to copy Mamdani because we don't have the same jurisdictional rules, for sure. But yeah, I mean, look at the grocery store idea. That's called cooperatives, right? Yeah. Or government run. These are things that have been done. They're actually working in Montreal. There's a beautiful grocery store co-op in the Point St. Charles. Yeah. The Detour.
Yeah, one around here too that they've joined us on the show at one point.
Excellent.
So yeah, there's a couple.
This is a new I would be an administration and a mayor that supports these initiatives to help people get by. So we're going to have initiatives talking about the cost of living in this campaign as well because it's affecting people. There's a lot of space for it.
We're continuing our discussion with the newest candidate for mayor of Montreal. You probably know him, longtime Montreal City Councillor Craig Sauvé, entering the ring this morning with a new party, Transition Montréal, Transition Montreal. Craig, thanks for sticking around longer. I do appreciate you giving us a little bit more time here. So a couple things that I want to get to. You've run a lot in the last little while, right? The runs with the NDP, now running for mayor. I've already heard murmurs, people talking and saying, well, this is about, it may not be about running for mayor of Montreal. It's all about a longer term goal, running again for the NDP and other political aspirations. What do you say to that? Because I'm sure it's going to be raised that you're in this more for yourself, not for the city.
Oh, well, when I ran for the NDP, I've been a member of that party for a long time. That's where I started my political engagement. So there's always been issues that are outside the sphere of the Montreal that does affect us in Montreal that I wanted to attack. I did speak of some. I talked about, the cost of living. We talked about the health system. We talked about financing for those types of things, major infrastructure projects. There's a project for public transit in LaSalle that was canceled by the Quebec government, but for lack of funds. So I, with great pleasure, went into the NDP sphere to try to fight for those things and to try to do more. Because as one councillor, you can do a lot, but I tried to do more. But, doing this leap now, it's a passion project that I'm doing with this group of people in Transition Montréal. And it's to say that I'm sticking in the city scene and I'm committing to the city scene. And I never went to the NDP because I was bored of the city scene. I loved my job. If you can see, before and after my runs, the whole 4 years, I was always proposing motions, proposing initiatives, getting involved, going to events across the city. It's what I like. So for me, it's not a... Even if I lose my elections, I lose all my elections. Like I'm a guy who likes to get involved, and I'm an activist. And I believe in helping people and finding change. So it's just that's the fire that burns, and that's what I'll keep doing.
And I guess just the concern is, am I going to vote for someone who, come next year will be running for Quebec Solidaire, and the year after that there's a new minority government federally, and you'll run again for the NDP. I guess that is the concern.
Fair, super fair question. I'm committing to Montreal.
Okay.
I'm running for 4 years. You'll have 4 years. If I become mayor of Montreal, for sure, you can't. That's such an amazing opportunity. I would absolutely adore to be the mayor of Montreal for people. And if I'm city councillor again, I will do my full 4 years as city councillor. I'm not planning on any other runs. I had my experience in federal politics. I learned a lot. It was great. But I'm focusing on the municipal with this announcement today.
One of the cliches you hear in mayoral election campaign is, I'm running to be a mayor for all Montrealers, right? I hear that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to know if that's actually applicable in your case. Are you running for all Montrealers or some Montrealers?
I mean, all Montrealers, really. You can just see how I've been as a councillor. Have I been a councillor for all my constituents? Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay.
I respond to people all the time for all sorts of needs that they have. I do my very best, and you see sometimes on Facebook, on social media, it gets rough out there.
Yes, it does.
Right? But I really do my very best to look beyond the terminology that maybe be a little rough and try to get at the heart of what's frustrating this person that makes them feel like this. And I try to find the solution, or at least provide information that resolves that frustration a little bit. Because there are some things that are not left-right. A lot of it is not left-right. There are some things that are progressive issues, and there are strategies. I do feel that there are boroughs that are not getting the attention of the administration. I'm born in the West Island. I'm a West Island boy. I came to the Southwest in Montreal when I was 17. I lived there pretty much the whole time since, with a stint in Hochelaga, a stint in Rosemont.
Not a lot of votes in those demerged boroughs.
No, but I mean, if we're talking about Pierrefonds, we're talking about Ile Bizarre. I used to play in my band in Ile Bizarre. In Pierrefonds, I used to go there all the time, visit my grandparents who lived in Pierrefonds. My aunt still lives there. These are places that I know super well. And in the East too, there's those boroughs that don't get the attention of us all, by the way, of not necessarily of the media either, that have lots of interesting things going on. That I want to be involved in that. And our team, by the way, will represent the diversity of Montreal. We're clearly targeting a diversity of all different types, be they, ethnic, religious, linguistic. We're going to really go all there.
So, one of your proposals here, taxing the rich, right? To pay for, more programs related to homelessness.
Fighting homelessness, indeed.
So you want to have a property tax on homes that are valued at over $3.5 million?
That's correct.
So take me through that. How much money does a program like that bring in? How much are you going to tax these homes?
Well, we think we can at least double the current amount that we're giving to fight homelessness with this. There's the new property assessment roll is coming this fall or this end of this summer. So that will give us the clearest, because it's all land tax. I need that information. And we'll hope that they'll provide more information with the land tax. Sometimes they don't provide all the information. I don't need to know what every individual owns, but I want to know how many houses. So we have an idea, and of our estimates, we think we can get $20 million. So, and again, these are gigantic homes. I'm not talking about plexes. I'm not talking about buildings that are apartment rentals. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at, McMansions, big houses, and luxury condominiums. Places that you and I will never step into on a regular basis. Places that most Montrealers will never see the inside of in their life because they're very expensive and exclusive.
Yeah, and as you say, this is taxing the ultra rich. You're beyond the rich, you say. It's the ultra rich.
I'm not going, no, and I want people to know too, like there are retirees out there that have a home that's worth $1 million. Yeah. But they bought it in the 60s and they've been living there for some time. And now they might not have a very high income. They have a fixed income. Yeah. And, extra taxes puts them in big trouble. And sometimes people have to leave their homes because of taxes. That's not good. Yeah. What we're saying is those people who have more means and that are extremely comfortable. And the best part about targeting on the municipal level, because it's a land tax, you can't take your big house and bring it to the Cayman Islands. Like if we're taxing you, you can't avoid it. And so at the other levels, they haven't been progressive with taxes. At Montreal, there's basically one rate. It's a flat tax. But again, it's not fair for the people who are low income. It's not fair for the retirees. Yeah. And it's not fair for us as a society that those who are well off are not paying a little bit more.
The last controversy you had when you were running for the NDP, there was a flyer sent out in the riding that had you with the Palestinian flag, and there was a tagline about genocide. And it seemed to be particularly contentious. And on the notion of being a mayor for all Montrealers, are you gonna stay away from weighing in on wars on the other side of the world? Because if I was a Jewish Montrealer, I don't know if I look at that and look at a mayoral candidate that would send something like that out and say, oh, I'm going to feel represented, right? So is there going to be a line for you going forward on issues from around the world and importing them here and making sure, if you want to make sure you represent all Montrealers, trying to stay neutral on certain things?
Well, look, for one, I don't think that we can avoid talking about these things. We are a metropolis. Do we take our space in the world space? I think we do. I'm not going to campaign on foreign affairs. When I was with the NDP, I think it's when you're going federally, you campaign on foreign affairs. It makes perfect sense. But I think that it's going to come up once in a while, and people are going to want to know where you stand. What's your morality? And in that regard, I believe there's something really devastating going on in Palestine, and I'm going to stand by what I said. I'm going to stand by that. And there was an article that people should read by Omer Bertov in the New York Times just on the 15th of this week. Yeah. He's an Israeli-born historian of genocide.
Yeah, but like this is the thing, right? Yeah. So asking that question, I'm not going to wade into it, and then you go off and you're like, I'm going to point out this one article in the New York Times. I could rile off an article in this publication. Yeah. And and that's to me like this is where it goes to the crux of my question. You said I'm not going to make that apart, and then you went right there. Well, and that's a worry that I have.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I'm not campaigning on it. But if you're going to ask me what my position is, I'll give you my position. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with people. But no, I'm not going to campaign on foreign affairs. But Montreal is going to sometimes take moral positions. We do. We voted a motion on Ukraine at City Council. Yeah. We all voted for it. Yeah, that's something I'm really worried about too, and I really am very afraid for the people in Ukraine. And I think it's not a bad thing to stand up for the Ukrainians right now.
You're going to have 102 candidates come November?
Do my very best, my friend. I'll try to get there.
Good luck in that fight. It is now a crowded field, thanks to you joining the fray. Craig, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Craig Sauvé, running for mayor of Montreal under the new Transition Montréal banner.